Two strangers sit down to play Monopoly, but the game is rigged, and both of them know it. A coin was flipped in front of them. The winner of that coin flip gets twice the starting money, twice the salary every time they pass go, and 2 dice to roll instead of 1. Nothing about it is hidden. Nothing about it is earned. It was a coin. And within about 15 minutes, something starts to change in the player who's winning, not their strategy, them. This actually happened in a lab at the University of California, Berkeley, run by psychologist Paul Piff. And what the cameras caught is one of the most uncomfortable things ever filmed about human beings. Let's watch it happen. At the start, the 2 players behave almost identically. Polite, a little awkward, the way strangers are. Then the advantage kicks in. The rich player starts moving further, buying more, collecting more, and their body changes first. They begin moving their game piece louder, slapping it down on the board as it advances. They take up more space at the table. They speak louder, and they interrupt more. There was a bowl of pretzels set on the table. The rich players ate noticeably more of them. Nobody told them to do any of this. They almost certainly had no idea they were doing it at all. Now here comes the part that should genuinely unsettle you. At the end of the game, the researchers asked the winners a simple question. Why did you win? Remember what they knew. They knew about the coin flip. They watched it happen. They had double the money, double the income, and twice the dice in a game they were told was unfair before it began. And they talked about their decisions, their strategy, the properties they chose to buy, how they'd played it smart. They didn't lie. That's the disturbing part. They believed it. 15 minutes of unearned advantage, and the mind had quietly rewritten the story so that the advantage belonged to them. You might be thinking, fine, it's a board game, it's play money. It means nothing, except the same pattern shows up outside the lab with real money and real consequences. Piff's team went out and watched actual traffic. At crossings where drivers are legally required to stop for pedestrians, they recorded who stopped and who didn't. The pattern that emerged was uncomfortable. Drivers of more expensive cars cut off pedestrians noticeably more often than drivers of cheaper ones. Then there was the jar of sweets. Participants were told a bowl of candy in the room was for children in a nearby study, but that they could take some if they wanted. On average, wealthier participants helped themselves to more of it. Not monsters, not villains, just people, taking slightly more from children without ever deciding to be the kind of person who would. And these are tendencies, not laws. Plenty of wealthy people stop at the crossing. Plenty give away far more than they keep. But the pattern is strong enough, and it repeats often enough, that it demands an explanation. So why does having more quietly change how a person behaves? The answer isn't greed. It's something far older, and it's built into all of us. Think about what your ancestors needed to survive. Not money, people. If you were injured, someone had to feed you. If a predator came, someone had to shout. If food ran out, you survived only if the group decided you were worth sharing with. For hundreds of thousands of years, other humans were the difference between living and dying. So evolution made you exquisitely sensitive to them. You read faces, you track moods, you notice who's upset, who's owed a favor, who might turn on you. That constant attention to other people isn't politeness. It's an ancient survival system. Now here's what money actually does. Money is the first thing in human history that lets you not need anyone. You don't need a neighbor to help you move something. You pay someone. You don't need the group to feed you when you're sick. You buy what you need. Every problem that once required another human can now be solved with a number. And a brain that no longer needs other people slowly, quietly stops paying attention to them. That's the whole mechanism. Not evil, not corruption, just an old survival system switching off because the danger it was built for seems to have disappeared. The rich Monopoly player didn't become a worse person. They became a person who no longer needed the person across the table. And that took 15 minutes. So the real question isn't whether money changes people. We know it does. The question is whether you'd notice it happening to you, because they didn't. They sat there in a game they were told was rigged, holding the dice they were handed, and they explained their victory with pride. Money didn't make them arrogant. It just gave them permission to stop needing anyone. And the story about deserving it arrived all by itself. If that made you think about the last time you got lucky, good. Subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel is built to do.